Should you go to school for computer science?
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Julian Blair. I am a DevOps engineer, computer science graduate, and a musician. So on this channel, I'll be posting a lot about different aspects of computer science and working in the tech industry as a DevOps engineer, some of the other disciplines that exist within the tech industry, as well as uploading some music stuff from time to time. I don't know, it's kind of a work in progress, but I have a lot of time in quarantine and I figured, why not start a YouTube channel and put some stuff out there. And before I go any further, I just want to say I hope you guys are all doing well, keeping safe, keeping distance, keeping mentally sane during all the craziness that is the world right now, and my thoughts are with you. So today I thought we'd approach the topic of whether or not a computer science degree is worth it, and whether or not you should major in computer science. By the end of this video, I'll give you my opinion on who I think a computer science major degree is for, and depending on your aspirations and goals within the tech industry and just in life in general, whether or not I think you should get one. So a little bit about myself. I graduated from Johns Hopkins with a computer science degree in May of 2019, and I now work as a DevOps engineer at a fairly large health research and publications company. During my 4 years, I wrote a lot of code, made some great friends, and at my current job now, I know a lot of software engineers. Over the course of a typical day at my job, I interface with a lot of software engineers, so I have a pretty good understanding of what, at least at my company, we're looking for in software engineers and whether or not you need a degree to meet those requirements. So let's get into it. I've broken this video down into 3 main sections. The first of which is going to be about, a typical curriculum that you'll experience as a computer science major. The second aspect will be, what community aspects of going to school for computer science you'll encounter. There's a lot by way of how you interact with other people that's really important, and I think one of the biggest benefits of actually getting a CS degree. Lastly, I'll give you some of the things that I've most enjoyed or benefited from in terms of getting my degree. After that, I'll give a general conclusion about, whether or not I think you should get a computer science degree, given, like I said, your circumstances, your aspirations, your goals, and whether or not, your interests really align with the major itself. So as far as curriculum goes, there's definitely general requirements that any college will have. Some basic science credits, some humanities courses, some writing credits, those sorts of things. But within CS, within the meat of the CS degree, you can sort of break CS curriculum into 2 different categories. The first category is going to be all of your mathematics courses. So that'll include everything from calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, etc., higher orders of, pure mathematics. But then you'll also have more CS-specific mathematics courses, so things like automata and computation theory, or discrete mathematics, graph theory. And those CS-specific mathematics courses really relate numbers to how computers operate and function. For example, the class Automata and Computation Theory, you'll build what are called finite state machines, where you'll have a series of states that something can exist in, and then given some input, you can change between the states. Now, as abstract as that seems, that's basically the crux of how computation works. So you're given some set of input, and you want that input to produce some output through the mechanism of the machine itself. That's basically all a computer does, just a lot more complicated. In discrete mathematics, you'll learn about math that really applies to algorithms, so to speak, and how to write formal proofs of the running times of these algorithms. And I'll go into detail in future videos about run times and algorithms and those sorts of things. Generally, you'll have, a set of pure math classes and then a set of more CS-specific mathematics courses. Now, aside from the mathematics courses, you'll have programming courses, and this is where you'll learn to program in whatever fundamental language that the university chooses. In my case, all intro classes were in Java, intermediate classes were in C and C++, and then once you got to upper levels, it was kind of at the professor's discretion, what language they wanted to use for that course. So computer networks for me was C++, artificial intelligence and parallel programming were both in Python, so on and so forth. It really, it's up to the professor. In these classes, you'll do a lot of programming and really get your hands wet and your hands dirty. I guess wet and dirty, I confuse both of those idioms, but you'll do a lot of programming and really, cut your teeth. There's another one on how logic works and how to structure the logic of a program and how to get it to do what you want it to do. You'll learn about object-oriented programming, which is another topic we can get into. You'll learn about different paradigms of programming that exist across many different languages. So this is where you'll really do the most programming and really get the most practical application during your time at school. So at least for me, Hopkins skewed very theoretical in terms of the types of courses that were offered for programming. There weren't a whole lot of web development, iOS development, or Android development courses, it was mostly systems programming languages, meaning languages that really interface directly with the hardware. So languages like C and C++, or Java, that can run in the JVM runtime. Again, more words I can talk about later. Some schools will have a mixture of industry and non-industry style programming courses. Others will just have one or the other. But at least for me, it's skewed very theoretical and very systems language oriented, not too much application development or things like that. A great example of this is a class called Data Structures, where we not only learned about the theory of data structures, but we implemented all of them in Java from scratch. And if you don't know what a data structure is, it's basically a way of saying, okay, I have some data, whether they're numbers or strings, meaning like, words you can say, or just passages of text, or characters, like A, B, C, all of those are individual characters. Given some set of data, numbers, strings, characters, what's the best way to arrange them? What's the best way to, add something to a data structure, retrieve it from a data structure as quickly and efficiently as possible? So there's a bunch of different data structures that you can use, and implementing all of them from scratch is a great exercise in how well you can understand these things on a practical level. So again, to wrap up this section, your CS core curriculum will be comprised of two kinds of classes, programming and mathematics. Within mathematics, you'll have your pure math, so your calc, lineage, things like that. Within your more CS specific mathematics, you'll have algorithms, discrete mathematics, things like that. Within your programming courses, you'll have introductory courses, intermediate courses, and then more specialized programming courses once you reach your higher levels. So section 2 of this video is about the college experience itself. And I think that a lot of people overlook this when they think about, oh, should I go to school for CS? I want to be a software engineer. I've heard I need a degree. They think less about what the actual experience of college will be and more so about what the outcome will be once they have a degree. So in terms of the college experience as it pertains specifically to CS, I find that the community of the computer science world is one of the biggest reasons to actually get a degree in computer science. During my 4 years, I made some of the best friends that I'll have in life, I think, and I still, maintain contact with most of them. We'd stay up super late doing problem sets and programming assignments together, and it was just really comforting to be able to just meet up with someone in the library, ask them for help on a problem, give them help on a problem, and be able to have that person-to-person contact, corona, to really help each other through whatever problems. Taking it a step further and just beyond the social context of your friends, you'll have access to some of the world's brightest minds in terms of your professors, TAs, PhD students, people who are doing research in the field, who have this huge depth of knowledge about the subjects of, either whether it's software engineering, some professors will actually teach courses on software engineering and, object-oriented programming and, application design and sorts of things. So they will actually have practical application knowledge depending on what school you go to. Others will have super in-depth knowledge on theoretical computer science. I have a lot of friends who didn't go into industry after graduating. They went straight for their theoretical CS PhD. And again, on a college campus, at least I found that there was a general atmosphere of learning. That is to say that oftentimes it felt like we were all there for learning's sake in and of itself. It wasn't always the end goal of getting a job. I found myself getting really deep into wanting to understand algorithms, wanting to understand data structures, wanting to understand, finite state machines, automata, all of these things genuinely interested me. And I think if you're that kind of person and you can sort of align yourself with those kinds of goals, then getting a CS degree might be very worthwhile for you if you want to gain a very deep understanding of how the things we use every day, computers, smartphones, tablets, how these things actually work on a not only theoretical level, but also a practical level. There was a course that I took called Computer Systems Fundamentals, where we had to implement a very simple version of a microprocessor. And that was one of the hardest classes I've taken, but it was one of the most enlightening in terms of, how the thing I use every day actually works in terms of transistors turning on and off, and how memory is actually just, a transistor holding electricity or not holding electricity, and that's how, all of memory is stored. If you want to gain a very deep understanding of how those sorts of things work, getting a computer science or computer engineering degree is very much worth your while. And then lastly, if you don't actually want to go into industry and actually want to study theoretical CS past the undergraduate level, kind of need to go to school to get a computer science degree if you want to get a master's or PhD eventually. While in undergrad though, there are tons of opportunities to study under and study with some of the more senior faculty in the department. Moving on to section 3 of this video, things I've most enjoyed about my computer science education, both during school and now that I've left school and been out of school for about a year now. Like I mentioned before, if you have a very curious mind like I do, you just want to understand how things work. And going to school for this is a very good way of, learning it in a very structured and methodical way. All of this stuff you can definitely teach yourself on your own, but you won't necessarily get the expertise of the professors, and you won't necessarily, have to be forced to understand it through problem sets and homework assignments. There's something about the environment in which you're learning a lot of this stuff that that aids you in your resultant, understanding of it. Along with that though, CS is definitely a very difficult major. And something I appreciated while I was in school is that the professors understood this. When I was taking automata and computation theory, I believe that the final average score was about a 65%, and I scored a 54 or something like that. That turned out to be a B because of the curve. Professors generally understand that a lot of this material is objectively difficult. That's not to say that the students in the class didn't understand the material, but that it's very difficult to regurgitate or replicate how to do a problem given a 2-hour exam. I'm very appreciative that the faculty there were receptive to an understanding of the fact that this was very difficult for the class and adjusted the scores based upon the performance of the class. Something else I appreciated about Hopkins specifically, but I'm sure applies to many other schools, is flexibility in the course load that I actually took. I'll do a video talking about what courses I took while I was in school. So I ended up doing a Bachelor of Arts BA instead of a Bachelor of Science BS in computer science while I was at Hopkins. What that allowed me to do was take a lot more humanities focused courses while I was in school. So I ended up getting a concentration, so to speak, in African American studies. I also took a lot of film and media studies courses in film history and film production. Aside from that, if I had done a BS, I don't think I would have had time to lead my collegiate a cappella group, which was competitive at the time. So I think that, doing a BA, learning the core of the CS curriculum and doing well at it, but also being able to explore other interests like film, African American studies, and having time to do music as well, I think that having a flexibility in course load is something very important if you have a wide array of interests like I do. So as you're looking for schools, definitely consider what kinds of courses you'll be allowed to take once you're actually a computer science major. The next aspect of my education that I really appreciate and will treasure always really is an opening up to many other interests. So I actually applied to Hopkins undecided. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had been using computers for a really long time since I was really, really young, always been interested in them. Me and my dad are both tech nerds. So I thought, okay, I'll do CS. I'll learn how to program. I'll learn how this stuff actually works. But when it came time to actually enter, I entered as undecided engineering. I followed the curriculum for the CS track just so I could, switch in without having too many issues. But for the first year or so, I really was sort of unsure of what I wanted to do. I actually ended up declaring my junior year of school because I had to. I couldn't get into any of the upper level CS courses if I wasn't a major. But while I was at school and being around so many other people with so many different majors, it really opened up a wide range of interests for me. One of my roommates was actually a physics major, and she would talk to me about astrophysics and how stars worked and how rockets worked and all that sort of stuff. And all of her friends would nerd out to me about it. And then I would nerd out to them about how music theory worked on a, more mathematical level. And this back and forth of exchanging ideas and information and educating each other was something that I really appreciated about school that I'm not sure I really would have gotten if I hadn't gone to school. Finally, the last aspect of getting a CS degree that I'll always be appreciative of is that it was so rewarding when you surmount the challenges that you face. So whether that's a topic in any given mathematics course, or you squash a bug in one of your programming assignments, that feeling of finally getting there and just crushing it, it's so rewarding, it's so reassuring to know that you understood something, you conquered something, you got it. And it really validates that you belong where you are, you belong at the school, you belong to be learning among your peers. And something I wouldn't trade for the world, that feeling of surmounting a problem, something so difficult, something that at once was so abstract and so out there and so beyond the reach of anything that you could have imagined yourself understanding or overcoming. So I'll always appreciate that and always carry that mindset going forward. So that brings me to my conclusion. Hopefully you've seen a couple reasons why I think you should go to school for computer science. I think that if you're someone who's extremely driven and motivated specifically about theoretical computer science or wanting to understand how it works, wanting to get more involved in it, want to understand things on a more technical level, on a more theoretical level, more abstract level at times, then I think that actually getting a degree in CS is probably, where you're going to experience the most of that and get the most bang for your buck. The problem though is that it's a pretty big buck to get your bang for. When I graduated last May, I graduated with a pretty large amount of debt, and it's not necessarily something I can justify if you just want to, learn to program to get a job in software engineering, which is as admirable, right? If your main focus is to get a job in industry and get a job in tech and become, a really good software engineer, it's kind of hard for me to say that you need a degree in computer science specifically. A degree in software engineering, maybe you can argue for that a little bit more, but in terms of the actual knowledge that you need to become a good programmer, that's not necessarily what you're learning in a computer science degree program. You can join a good boot camp, you can self-teach, there's so many other avenues by which you can gain the requisite knowledge and programming skill to get those software engineering jobs. A degree isn't necessarily one of them. So that's my take on the whole thing. Hope you enjoyed this first video of mine. I really hope you guys are doing good. Please subscribe, like, comment, it really helps out. I'd really like to start getting more involved with you guys, get some video ideas about what you'd like to see me cover. Right now I'm planning to do, what courses I actually took in my computer science degree, along with my other, more humanities focused courses, and give you an overview of what I took. I'm also going to get into probably some salary videos in terms of what you can expect to make as either a software engineer or a DevOps engineer. So let me know in the comments if that's anything that you'd be interested in. Until the next one, see ya.